Shalom, family, and welcome back to another new moon Sabbath class. So, in our fourth new moon of this, lunar calendar year or Hebrew year. So we're going to go ahead and open up to the book of Second Ezra, chapter 9, verse 15. And this lesson is entitled, "You Can't Save Them All." Okay, you can't save them all. Let's go ahead and get Second Ezra chapter 9, and let's read verse 15. The book of Second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 15. Okay, Second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 15, and it reads, "I have said before, and now do speak, and will speak it also hereafter, that there be many more of them which perish than of them which shall be saved." Okay? He said there will be many, many more of them that perish than them that will be saved. Okay? And that's not a small statement, by far. Okay? Because someone say, well, how much more are we talking? Let's read verse 16. It says, "Like as a wave is greater than a drop." Okay, so if you ever been to the beach, which many of us, we've been to the beach at some point in time, and we see them waves, even some of them big waves coming through, right? Now, compare all the water that's accumulating there and compare that to a drop. You ever ran some water in your feet, you got a single drop left, or you didn't drunk all the water in the glass down to that last drop. So it says the difference is not small. It's not a small difference between those that will ultimately perish versus those that will ultimately be saved. It's a drastic difference now. So like a drop unto a wave. There's going to be way more people that perish and get destroyed than those that are going to be saved. So, and that should set up in our minds the beginning of our understanding that this walk is very much so serious. This walk is very, 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 very serious. And that the Most High God is not playing. Even though so many people take him for a joke. They play around with his laws. Many people feel as if you don't need to keep God's laws. That's doing too much. Nah, that's the extras. And man, the devil is a liar, because that's the key thing that helps solidify your ticket into the kingdom is how you're applying the laws, statutes, and commandments of God on a day-to-day basis in this world. And that you're going to be held accountable for how you moved accordingly, whether you followed those things or failed to do so. So, we have so many, friends, family, co-workers, and the various people that we know, care about, and people we see on a day-to-day, and that the mass majority of them, unfortunately, they won't make it. They won't make it. Doesn't mean that there's no hope for any of them. Nah, there's hope because the one thing realizing is that, like the scriptures say, a living dog, a breathing dog, is better than a dead lion. Because although the lion is mighty, ain't no good to you if he's dead. But the dog, shoot, dog may not be as mighty as the lion, but the dog's still alive. The dog can still fight. So you still have breath in your body. You still have, and if you're still here, looking left and right, you still here. You still have time, chance, and opportunity to repent and get things right. So you still have time, chance, and opportunity to change, to correct, your life and the mistakes and things made. And the Most High God, he's not an entity that wants to see your downfall, wants to see you destroyed. He's an entity that wants to see you change sincerely and sincerely get on that path to try to be better and do right according to him. That's sincerely what he wants. So that's what he's looking for. And not everybody wants to do that, not everybody wants to do that. And unfortunately, we have so many times where we can feel as if like, dang, I want, you know, my coworker, my family, my friend, I want them to get right. I want them to know what I know, understand what I understand. And it can be difficult, to process that a lot of them ain't even if they had all the time in the world, they won't utilize it to change and repent. That's just the reality. They won't, because for them it's not that serious. It's not real. And unfortunately, especially for a lot of our people, it's not real until it gets real. A lot of us procrastinate work to the last minute. CP time, color people time. You have that. So because we'll wait to the last minute to try to get some stuff together and, feel as if it's justified as long as I eventually do it. The Most High, no, there comes a time when it's too late. There's a time when it's too late. There's a time, even the world teaches you that. There's a time when you show up at your job, it's too late to clock in. You're supposed to be here, yesterday. So, time that it's too late. And they going to have to let you go or fire you. Because that grace period, it runs out. Some, you only got some minutes. Others, you got an hour, a couple hours. Some, you might have a day or two, but you show up. If you don't show up, you ain't no communication, and the reason ain't valid. Sorry, we got to let you go because there's a standard. You have to meet that standard. It's not that the job has to conform to you in your life. What you want is no. You have to conform to the job and their requirements. So, let's get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12 and verse 12. Book of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12 and verse 12. Who shall say, what hast thou done? So now, who's going to tell the Most High God, hey, man, we need more time than that. You can't just jump out from here and catch judgment like this. That ain't the way to do it, God. Who can do that? Who shall withstand thy judgment? Who's gonna say, nah, that lake of fire ain't hot enough for me? Shoot, I'm gonna be swimming in that mud. No, who can do that? Who shall accuse thee for the nation that perish, whom thou hast made? Who gonna come up and tell you, nah, you can't destroy them people, God? Them people are all right with me. No one. Like you said, all of us, our hands are too short to box with God. And it says, or who shall come to stand against thee to be revenged for the unrighteous men? Who going for all the unrighteous that the Most High God decides to punish or destroy? Who gonna rise up to defend them and say, no, that ain't right? You ain't give them long enough. They could have got right. Look, if you just would have did this and this, then that could have been right. But see, since you ain't do that, you can't even judge them like that, God. That just wouldn't be fair. I'm just saying. No, you ain't got that. God ain't got a situation where he got parents coming in and, all right, God, that's enough judgment. Now go to the room, put everything away. Let's get it right with these people. You ain't got that with God. That's why he says I am and none else. Ain't nobody there's no authority I have to answer to. It's my decision in terms of how I choose to run and operate these things. It's my decision, my choice. So, yeah, you can have input all day. It don't mean I got to listen. Talk to the wall, talk to yourself, talk to your little friends. But who are you? So, that's just the reality. Because ain't nobody finna hold God accountable. So, because he not only runs the program, he invented the program. He made it. So, I ain't gonna tell him what to do with the stuff that he made and created for his purpose. God decided to destroy everything and start over with making people out of rocks. Who gonna stop him? Nope. I did enough. I'm gonna start over with rock people. I'm gonna have some sand people, some earth people, some rock people, and some grass people. That's gonna make me happy. That's what I want to do right now. I just want to keep everything naturific. So keep everything in nature. Who gonna stop them? Look at Romans chapter 9 and verse 14. Let's read this. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid. How you gonna, because somebody feel the choices God makes, that he himself is a hypocrite or unrighteous or things of that nature. Why their judgment? Can all the bad people, can they just get an island or something? Why you gotta have a lake of fire? Let them just live their lives separately. Negative. He said no. So, because they escape off of that island, they get back and they gonna ruin everything that I done built. I done rinse, wash, repeated too many times. Nope. That ain't gonna work. Sound good, but nope. That ain't gonna work. So that ain't gonna give everlasting peace that I'm trying to bring. Reality is, why don't you tell them people to get right? So they ain't gotta worry about being on no dang island or really my judgment. So let them get right. So they ain't gotta deal with that. But instead, let's get Romans 9, 20, 21. Romans chapter 9 and verse 20. It says, Nay, but, O man, who art thou that repliest against God? It's rather saying, who are you? That you got all this to say against the almighty power. Against the Most High God. What was it? Shoot. Somebody ain't even got enough sense to be mindful of the things you might say to your supervisor, manager, lest you be out of a job. Boy, let alone what you might say to the God and creator of the earth, the universe, because you got to remember, he in heaven, you on earth. He can make your world a living hell. He can cast all manner of types of judgment on you. So like it says, and continuing in verse 20, shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus? Because at the end of the day, I made you this because that's what I wanted. That's at the end of the day. Come on now. If you go and you decide you want to make you a chicken sandwich, chicken sandwich goes, I didn't want to be a chicken sandwich. I wanted to be a turkey sandwich. You made me chicken. I want turkey. No, that ain't the way it worked. So it becomes a situation where you have to understand how the game is set up. You may not have asked to be here, but Most High God wanted you. He chose. So it's, hey, make best do with the cards you dealt. So let's read verse 21. It says, have not the potter power over the clay? Because you got a potter, making pottery. The potter's the one that has power over the clay, not the clay over the pot. The clay ain't dictating what it want to be. Oh, yeah, this lump made me into this. Yeah, this is what I want to be. Well, I was going to use it to make that. No, I can't be that. No, I don't want to be a dinner plate. That ain't, because I don't even like dinner. Like, breakfast my favorite. Can you make me a breakfast plate? That's what I want to be. No. Potter ain't there talking to the clay and the clay dictating what it want to be. Potter like, nah, that's gonna be a vase. That's gonna be a flower pot. This one's gonna be a big pot. Like a big tree. Ooh, but this one right here, yeah, this gonna be a bowl. You're gonna be a little bowl. You're gonna be a big bowl. So the potter's the one making the decisions, and then I'm gonna paint you this color. Now I'm gonna give you this design. I'm gonna give you this shape. Make you this kind of shape. So, like I said, verse 21, have not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? That's a big statement. Because it said of one lump, because people might say, well, we're all human beings. That doesn't mean we're all equal. People try to say, we're just all equal, we're all the same. No, Bible does not teach that. God did not make everybody the same. Common sense will tell you that. If we all created the same, that means we'd all have the same skin complexion, which we don't. We'd all be the same height, which we're not. We'd all be the same size or weight, far from it, you know, and the list goes on. So obviously, God, he creates differences, and he likes those differences. It's part of how he creates things. He didn't make things, equal, the same, 50-50, no. He didn't make it all the same. So he set up differences for a reason, for his pleasure. Some things, some people set up for to be honored in certain ways, others to be dishonored. So everybody ain't meant to be rich. Everybody ain't meant to be poor. Everybody ain't meant to be noble and honorable. So that's just the reality. From the beginning, though, it's not just coincidental. Let's get Romans chapter 9, let's read verse 16 and then verse 18. Romans chapter 9 and verse 16, and it reads, "So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of God that showeth mercy." Because some things come down to, it doesn't matter what your will or what you want to do. It matters what God wants you to do and what he has set up for you. Because you have that many times. You have people who, you have many prophets and leaders, especially in time past that we read, in the scriptures. Hey, even some in this modern day and age who they don't want to lead. They don't want to teach. They don't want to preach. They don't want to be an example, but Most High God called you to be that. So you can choose to refuse. You can choose to fight against it. Look at some of the ones that did, and you're going to end up with some sore judgments, both then and now. You're going to end up like in situations like Jonah. So, and until you get right, you're going to be getting hit. Most High going to be taxed you because this is what I want you to do. You going against the grain in the program. This is what I made you for. This is what I chose you to do. Well, I gotta do it because I set you up for it. This is what I chose. It's my choice. So if I wanted them, I would have chose them. I don't want them. I want you. So the same thing like with Moses. I was like, man, I lack this. I ain't got this, and I know what you lack. I knew you before you knew you. Before you knew you even existed, I knew you existed. I knew what you was. So I made you. I know what your strengths and weaknesses are. This is why I chose you. It's just just choose someone or choose whoever it is you're saying. No. Now you starting to get me upset. I know I know who I chose. I ain't playing. Stop playing with me. So 3 verse 18. So like I said, ain't of those that will, and ain't nothing you can do to speed up, slow it down, or just because you have some other quality, I don't mean that's what the Most High looking for. So sometimes Most High looking for something simple, not even necessarily something elaborate that someone else might be looking at. Well, damn, he got this, she got that. It's like, nah, I ain't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this. This is what I can work with. This is what I'm looking for. Like with, him choosing King David. He overlooked all his brothers, everything else. They looked strong, like men of war, whatever else it was. But nah, he said, I'm looking at the spirit. All of them, they may have these other kings, but they spirit not right for what it is I need to be done, So nah, that one, he too cocky. He too arrogant. No, he really too fearful, So, nope, this one, he too doubtful. This one, he too envious. Nope. This one, yeah, his mind and spirit is right in alignment where I need it to be. Let's read verse 18. Therefore hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will, he hardeneth. Think about that. That he gonna have mercy on whom he will have mercy. And some people they think, hey, that's just favoritism thing. No, because a lot of it is, you gotta understand, the Most High knows the ins and outs of our minds and our spirits. He knows what's truly on your mind. He knows if you're truly sincere, you're faking the funk. Things that we as people, it'd be hard for us to perceive and figure out. You know, because even like things like deceit, deceit can go on for days, weeks, months, even years. You not know. People put on a mask, fake a phone. You know, you got think about how many family members, uncles, aunties, you know, but you really don't know, or you know, and then you be fine learning stuff out. I didn't know you did this. I didn't know you used to do that. I didn't know you was involved in this. You know, you be rediscovering stuff as years go on. You be discovering stuff as years go on that they was in stuff involving. You don't even know because they be asking questions, learning more about your life than you be learning about theirs. You know, so it's those things be unfolding. You know, so and how many times you can see things on the news situation? I never thought he would do anything like this. She wasn't like that. It's like, well, how well did you really know them? But scripture lets you know the heart of man is deep. You know, the heart being the mind. Like, man, who can know it? Certain people, you don't know. Do you really know what they really thinking? Do you really know how they truly feel? Or you just got to gauge? Or you just know what it is that they show you? So, you have that. You know, people be living secret lives. People be having, you know, things on their mind that you would never know. So, but the Most High, He knows all those things. He knows what they truly do, like, you know, behind closed doors, because no one knows where the nose goes when the doors is closed. Don't know what people are doing behind closed doors in their own private lives and secret lives. But the Most High God does. He knows. See, that's why I ain't choosing that person. Oh, that's why I ain't forgive that person. I know in front of man they gonna talk a good talk, make it seem like they humble or sincere. But no, the reality is they on a whole different type of agenda that I ain't trying to be on. So nope. I ain't trying to elevate that person. I ain't trying to work with them in that way. So God knows. Let's get the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 5 and verse 7. Let's get the book of Sirach, also known as the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 5, and let's read verse 7. Book of Sirach, chapter 5, and verse 7, and it reads, "Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day." So the scriptures tell us, don't tarry, don't go slow, don't be late in terms of trying to turn to the Most High God, sincerely, fully. A lot of us, we don't want to turn fully to the Most High God. We be all over here and be like, all right, I'm a little bit, that good enough? All right, a little more, that good enough? All right, I'm comfortable here. No, Most High wants you to turn all the way. Get all the way right with me. All the way. You know, don't be slow to try to get there. Don't be slow. Why? Let's read on. "For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance." Because that's what's going to happen. And it's going to happen in a way to where it's pretty simple how this happens, because you get comfortable. You get so used to putting off that you just continue to put on, and then it's out of sight, out of mind. I done forgot about it. And you just living your life. Living your life like it's golden. And then, because you started putting it further and further out of your mind and away, and at first it was like, all right, I'm going to get to it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. You know, like some of them chores around the house that you say you're going to get to. Yeah, I'm going to take care of it. You know, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And it starts becoming something immediate that's on your mind to do. And then what starts to happen? You start to forget. And then, you know, somebody remind, oh yeah, man, I know I got to do that. Yeah, I got to make some time to do that. But it's not with a sense of urgency. You still put it off. You ain't try to put it down in a notebook. You ain't try to write on a calendar. You ain't even put it Nowadays, in your tablet or phone, you just, yeah, I know, yeah, I gotta get to that. I'll make some time, maybe, next week, something like that, you know. And then you didn't forgot again, went on about what your business, do everything else. And it's not like you ain't had time to do it, you just didn't prioritize it. It wasn't a priority for you. So you kept doing whatever else you had to do. And that's what it is with the Most High God. He realized, okay, you're not about to prioritize these things. You about to sleep on it. All right, go ahead, sleep on me if you want to. But then that's when you would get caught off guard. You're going to get caught off guard, caught slipping, caught sleeping, and now it's going to be too late. That's why I said, and that's when it becomes all of a sudden. And it's like, dang, where this come from? Like, nah, man, this been coming. You been new. You knew. You just chose to keep putting off and not to prepare yourself. So, and like you said, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth. And in thy security, when you think everything is straight, because people get it twisted, they think, I still got running water, still clear, we're good. I can still go get me something to eat, something to drink. The sun's still rising, still setting, still got day and night. We're still here on earth. We good. So it don't look like, nothing too crazy going on. I got time. Oh, little do you know. That's why the scriptures say, like in the days of Noah, they thought they had time. Yeah, it's straight. Still a good day to me. I don't know what I'm talking about, God gonna judge the place, things gonna happen. It don't look like nothing happened out here. We all right. Until what? Until one day, clouds started forming, started to rain. They thought, yeah, it's just a little rain, You know how it be. It rain for a little bit and it clear up, man. It's gonna be all right. And people, yeah, yeah, you right, yeah, you right. And it start raining a little longer than expected. Like, man, it's rain been going on, a few days now. Man, how sometimes, man, you been back a couple years ago, we had the same thing. Yeah, you right. Yeah, it was rain. Man, it be like that. Yeah, it'll clear, it'll blow over, man. It just sometimes weather just be like that. Till eventually what? It just like, dang, man, it's been raining for, man, it's still raining? I don't know, man. This ain't, I don't know. I ain't seen it like this before. I mean, it's just something, But, it's still, it's still too late. You still ain't being able to discern the times. That's why Christ was telling the Pharisees and Sadducees, like, man, y'all go outside and y'all can see whether it's going, look like it's going to be sunny today, look like it might rain. Y'all can have enough sense to usually see that, dang, today, let me grab my jacket. You know what? Let me grab the umbrella just in case. They looking good. Leave that. You have enough sense to generally discern that, but you ain't got enough sense to discern the times. Like, man, there's a lot going on in the world right now, man. Shoot. Nah, I need to start getting right. Things ain't looking too good, So it's a lot going on in the world. You should have that same sense to be able to, discern. I need to make some changes. And everybody, I got good discernment. Man, most of the world has poor discernment. Most of the world is going to be destroyed. You can't even discern the reality in terms of that God is real first and foremost, and that God has things he wants you to do. That's the most crucial level of discernment that most don't got. To be honest, most have poor discernment because most are going to be destroyed because they can't discern the times. Can't discern. You need to actually get right. Like there's a God that created all this, first off, because there's intelligent design behind it. Everything is built with a level of intelligence. Things ain't in a place where it's random. There's order. Sunrise and set. Ain't like situation, damn, we ain't seen the sun in like 4 days. No, you ain't got that. Dang, the moon ain't been out in like 2 weeks. You ain't got that. Everything shows order, not randomness. You ain't got a situation where, people having kids all the time and, and it's just random. Everybody being born with 3 eyes, 6 eyes, 6 arms, 3 legs all the time, 2 tails. That's not the norm. You're not getting that. It's not random. Everything is set up in order, showing intelligent design. Even from that, you have a God and a power that just created everything, and he just gave nothing. No rules, no organization, no nothing. He ain't responsible for nothing. And yet, we're the creatures that are clearly made different from all other creatures on the face of the earth. Clearly, the dominant species on earth. Ain't nothing else dominating like us. No matter how intelligent they try to say other animals are, the dolphin, the monkey, they ain't dominating earth. Dolphin ain't running the ocean. You don't go down there under the sea and you start seeing, dolphins. Dang, they got cranes down here. They building Atlantis. They got themselves mini cities. They got the other animals, the turtles working for them and the whales working for them. No, you don't see that. You don't see that. So you don't see the chimpanzees, orangutan, they ain't got, a Planet of the Apes thing going on. They ain't got situated and organized and set up shop over here. They got their own territories. You don't see, we ain't going to war, with other animals and species. We ain't taking up going to war with rhinoceros or giraffes or lions because they fighting for domain of man's territory. No, they want their own states and countries. No, you don't have that. So Most High gave that to mankind. You clearly see there's a stark contrast. So with us and with all this stuff, you don't think God got any sort of level of accountability in no type of way for what it is man has done or is doing? But yet and still, man got accountability for man. Man will arrest you for in some places put you to death for murder or rape or and there's judgment for theft and things of nature. But the Creator ain't got nothing for nothing. Don't care about nothing. That really make sense to you? I'm just saying. Some people do wishful thinking. So, well, let's get Sirach 5 and 7 again. So Sirach 5 and 7, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. You don't want that. You don't want that. We got to sober up our minds and spirits, because, boy, you got to, man, you don't want to be caught up in that. Let's get 2nd Ezra 9:36. The 2nd Ezra chapter 9, and let's read verse 36. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 36. And it reads, for we that have received the law perish by sin, and our heart also which received it. So it said, man, that even us, the Israelites, those that received the law, biggest thing, man, we know it. We learned it, or it was passed down to us, passed down to our forefathers, foremothers. But it's that much more severe because it was passed down generationally so that it may be kept generationally. And the failure to do so has led to sin that brought about misfortune, brought about these curses, these unfortunate circumstances that we're now faced with. That so many people rather turn a blind eye and believe doesn't exist. So, but no, these things, the Most High, he don't be playing. So he don't be playing. He wasn't playing with the thing before, because the thing ultimately that will cause, us and loved ones to perish if we don't do right, they don't do right. The very thing that got us in this position in the first place, Even the whole world, sin. So sin of man that brought us here. Let's get 2nd Ezra chapter 3 and verse 11. 2nd Ezra chapter 3 and verse 11. Let's read. Nevertheless, one of them thou leftest, namely Noah, with his household, of whom came all righteous men. People forget that. The other nations started out righteous. Their progenitors started out righteous. Don't matter what do you call them? Africans, Persians, or Ishmaelite, whoever, whatever nation you thinking of. Esau, everyone, their progenitor started off right. Someone decided to do wrong. Noah was right. His sons were right. That's why they were able to be saved. His sons, and they was right, or at least right enough, righteous enough to be worthy to be saved. So then what happened? Somewhere down the line of their children decided to go further left from what it is they were taught. No different than what we are today from what it is our grandparents and great-grandparents, taught. Each generation been getting worse. Been going further away from the good teachings, thinking you're doing yourself or your children a favor. Nah, my mom's was too hard on me. I ain't gonna be as hard as my kids. Nah, my pops was too hard on me. I ain't gonna be as hard as my kids. You start watering down the script. Nah, I didn't like they gave me spank. I ain't gonna hit my kids. You water down the script, and now look at us. Each generation has gotten worse. Just within the past, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. Just within that time, each generation has gotten worse. Roughly every 20 years, roughly. So, you look at each generation got worse. It's sad. But it's because watering down the script. So the same for Noah and his sons. Noah was right. His sons was right. But guess what? Them great-grandkids start going further left. Further left. So, and then the stories they hear eventually become that, just stories. Man, yeah, back in my day, God did this, and, he did that, and, man, God ain't did all that. He ain't doing it now. Where that at now? Where they do that at? They ain't see it, so they ain't got the same level of respect or fear or admiration. So there becomes just stories. So just stories. Because you look at that, it's very common amongst cultures, they have some type of flood story. Very common. And many of the details across cultures, there's slight variation in certain things, but there's a common core. Why is that? Because everyone's getting told a similar story. But then that's being, of course, passed down, and things get lost in translation and from how things are told to where, okay, here in this story they said it was an owl. Here they said it was a crow. Here they said it was a dove. But it seemed to be common that there was a bird. Okay, yeah, we could argue whether or not, dove, crow, owl. Okay, we just gonna say it's a bird. All right, bird did this. Yeah, we could argue where it was a boat, ark, piece of plywood, whatever else it is. But all right, there was something that they was floating on. So some of the details, it's like people, you could argue, okay, God, Yahweh, Creator, Most High. We just know, okay, some higher power, okay? We ain't got to argue some details. Just, all right, we bet. Meet people where they at. Higher power, such and such. All right, let's move forward. So we ain't got to get caught up. Well, his name is technically, yeah. All right, yeah, you know that. But they not there yet. Let's just creator God. Let's move forward now. Next point. So we can try to get an understanding, So, but like I said, knowing all his son, they was righteous. So was right. All the people were saved, but all the people were saved because it was moving right. Everyone else, think about it, everyone else was defective. They were not worth saving. Because even in with that, it was only 8 souls got saved. 8 out of everyone else on the face of the earth at that time. You got to think about it. God ain't playing around. Think about it. God, see, we get it misconstrued. God does not need you. God does not need you. See, God wants you. If you want him, you're gonna do right by him. But God does not need you. That's what someone's getting from that. Look, don't get it twisted. I want you, but I don't need you. So there's a difference. I want you, but I don't need you. So that's showing we come from that creator, that type of power. You on that type of time. I want you, but I don't need you. So if you either gonna get in line and conform, or else, hey, kick rocks, keep going. I'll deal with you down the line. I'll deal with you later. Because I'm messing with all those that are messing with me and trying to get with the program. Those who not, hey, step out of the way. You in the way. Because I'm setting things up in a certain way for how I want it. This ain't your program. So it's my program. You got to get on the right page. So because you don't want to be defective and not worth saving. So, and think about it. That back in that time of Noah, they were living for hundreds of years. Think of how big them families was. How many people did they know? Think about if you had, a solid 100 years, let alone hundreds, 5, 6, 7, 800 years to really, how many people you think you would know? Yet it's like, damn, everyone perished and like less than 1% survived. So all the grief and pain and things that, Noah's family, everything that's a lot. So on. But at least the relief comes in knowing that they did the right thing, that God loved them enough to save them. So, man, let's get 2nd Ezra 9:32. Let's get 2nd Ezra chapter 9. Let's read verse 32. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 32, and it reads, "But our fathers, which received the law, kept it not, and observed not thy ordinances. And though the fruit of thy law did not perish, neither could it, for it was thine." So you had many, for they received the law, statutes, and commandments, but they decided not to keep it, and didn't abide by the various things that our power told us to do. But that's why you read, like especially the book of Judges, went in captivity again and again and again, But that's also why we learn to, fight so hard to try to get back. So we aren't in this state for no reason. So, and that's why we should be fighting that much harder to try to get it right and wake up our people. But let's get 2nd Ezra 9:22. Everyone ain't gonna have that same mindset. So let's get 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 22. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 22, and it reads, it says, "Let the multitude perish then, which was born in vain, and let my grape be kept, and my plant, for with great labor have I made it perfect." See, look at that on both sides. Excuse me. On the far left, it said the multitude, most people, man, let them die. At the end of the day, God like, look, you fighting for them, you want all this stuff, and no, mama, daddy, cousin, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, best friend, neighbor down the street. You trying to save everybody. God ain't trying to save everybody. He ain't bending nobody's arm. He want them to get right, but he ain't making nobody do nothing. Most High God is not making anybody do nothing. He ain't forcing nobody on. God ain't forcing nobody to change. Why should you? Hey, Like the scripture said, the first and second admonition, man, reject. They ain't trying to, hear it. Hey, you did your part. You tried, you know. But if they ain't trying to change, that's on them. The most already called it. Hey, most of them gonna perish anyway. Let them, because they were born in vain. Born in vain, man. You were born in vain. Sometimes we don't like to hear that, man. Your life worthless. So, why? Because you made it worthless. Why? Because it don't matter how well you can sing, dance, how high your IQ is, or EQ, emotional intelligence. It don't matter how beautiful you are, don't matter how well endowed you are. It does not matter if at the end of the day you wicked. You ain't doing what God wanted you to do. All that stuff only becomes added to you when you fulfill righteousness first. That's it. When you fulfill righteousness first at the core, then that's when all that stuff begins to matter. That's when it begins to matter. If you ain't fulfill righteousness first, all that stuff don't even matter. It's like many of you see someone that they can seem attractive. They may seem attractive by some of the talents or gifts or their physical beauty until what? Until you hear them talk or learn their true character. And you realize they a monster. Yeah, all that other stuff just got poured down the drain. Nah. It's like one of those things, you can have a cup. It don't matter what it is. It could be your favorite beverage. It don't matter if it's a soda, favorite liquor, water. Let a fly go ahead and land on there in your cup. You ain't finna say, dang. Let me just pour that little. Yeah, you just go on fly. Yeah, all right, we good. You gonna be like, nope. It's tainted now. I don't want it. Why? Just the fly is on the. Nasty creature. Well, it's just on top. If you just kind of poured it, nope. It didn't land.